This is Earth Movers
with Allison Mariella Desir, Stephanie Flippin, and Verna NezBegay Volker.
A trail podcast reclaiming the narrative. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Earth Movers, a trail podcast reclaiming the narrative. My name is Verna NezBegay Volker, and I am one of the co-hosts. And we are excited today with this conversation that I'm going to have. But before that, I want to just give a shout out to Ultra Running for sponsoring this podcast. If you want to know more about Ultra, you can go to www.ultrarunning.com. I love Ultra Running, especially with trails and especially their wide toe box that I feel like it's very comfortable to wear. And so we just want to give a shout out to them and just really grateful for the opportunity they give to us. So let's go to our guest today. I want to introduce Harold Bennally. He's a Navajo Adene living in Phoenix, Arizona. He is a lifetime distance runner and has run road marathons and now runs ultra races. He's competed in several 100 milers and is currently is training for his longest race, the Cocodona 250. Harold is also a race director and founded the trail race company Canyon X. So yes, welcome Harold to Earth Movers.
Thank you, Verna. I'm very grateful to have this podcast and be the person being interviewed and to share my story and with my sister that we've known for a long time. So
yeah,
cool.
I was talking about, sorry to interrupt. I was talking about how, thinking about when we first met, I think because we were both we were like an ambassador for Earth Running, right? Was that the first time we met?
Red Earth Running, yeah.
Yeah, we were both like ambassadors for that company. And then you crewed my first 100K in 2021, right? I was at 2022. I always kind of get...
I think it was somewhere around there.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, 2021,
yeah.
I think.
So yeah, we've known each other 6 years. So, well, anyway, let's continue this conversation. We would just want to know more about your background, like where you grew up. If you can tell us more about that.
My background. Well, my parents, who we usually traditionally talk about our grandparents and our parents, where they're from. So my grandmother is originally from north of Gallup, along that coal mine area. So they got relocated to Cal Springs. So majority of my mom's side, my uncles, aunts live in that area. And then my dad lives in Botaway, Gap, Arizona area. And just east of there, between Gap and Kaibito, that's where he grew up. But so my parents are from there. I grew up out in my Nully's house when I was younger. And then later on, I went back and moved back into Page when my rest of my family grew up there and started running, competing and stuff there.
I didn't know that you had family like in the Gallup area.
Yeah, I guess this really descendant. Our clan goes back that way, and my mom says we still have some family out there, but it's a long bloodline to really trace back. And as far as I know, I just went back to my great grandmother's bloodline, and that's who I met and stuff. So,
oh, that's so cool. Now, you have been running since you were young. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I've been running since as far as I can really remember. Just because through ceremony, like my Nully man, my dad's dad, he's a medicine man, traditional medicine man. So a lot of the times I spent with him growing up, and many of the times my dad and I used to travel with my Nully to ceremonies. We'd take him there because he needed a transportation. So I'll end up participating, sitting in ceremony at a very, very young age, and just listening to his stories, his songs, and things like that, and his teachings. Sometimes he'll turn to me, being a kid, he'll talk about running and what he did and how it's related to culture and the stories that we do today, and those those kind of teachings he gave to me. So I started picking that up, and he'd tell me, hey, when we're back at home, you remember you have to do this in the morning. Remember what we said in ceremony, So I'll go out and take care of my run, and then come back, get some food, and then take the sheep out, go feed the horses and stuff like that, turn the water on, things like that, chores before I have to go to school. So it's been a long journey since those teachings, and today I'm just trying to do what I can right now with life and where it's taken me.
So when you got into running, were you in, like you said, you started running young, but I assume that you started running for Paige. Were you like on their cross country team?
Yeah, I started really competing when I got to junior high.
Junior high, okay.
I didn't even know what cross country was. I didn't know they did stuff like that until I went back to Paige and from my Nelly's house, and my sister started running cross country.
Okay.
Before that, I started hearing about my dad. So my dad worked at a power plant in Paige, and there he just like news. Everybody talks about sports and stuff. It's pretty big on Navajo Nation, and that these kids doing their sports, and they talk. And my dad got to learn about the Martin brothers, the twins, Tim and Theo, and from there he said, "Yeah, they live here in Lachee," and started learning about them. And goes, "You should run," So he kind of pushed my older sisters to join cross country and things like that. And just like my Nelly man, he pushed me out the door in the morning, and he said, "Go follow your sisters. He'll give us some water before we leave the house, and then we'll take off and we'll do a morning run somewhere down the power lines and things like that." And so I just followed my sisters. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's funny.
And I seen my other cousin, my father's sister, her son was running too. So he always talked about, "Hey, I'm getting in shape. I'm getting in shape." And I was like, "What is the shape?" I was like, "Are you supposed to be like in a triangle or a square?
Right.
Is that what it means?" Kind of. So I just kind of like, okay, I guess there's an imaginary triangle or around me, and I guess that means you're in shape or something. So it was totally new. So all this lingo and things like that was always new to me, but when I ran for quite a while, and I got used to running without water, herding sheep without water, stuff like that. But yeah, I competed for Paige, and started 6th grade there. I started training with the team when I was 5th grade.
Okay.
We used to go up into Duck Creek camp and with the team, a high altitude camp, which our Moccasin Running thing sponsor kids now. So we put it like 30, 40 kids up there based on this event that we do, the Antelope KNX. And so we push funding that way so the kids can do stuff. Competed through junior high school, and then I was fortunate enough to compete in college. And after college,
I didn't know that. Well, see, I'm learning so much about you that I didn't even know. So you competed in college. Oh, that's awesome.
Community college.
So you went to community college, and then what else?
After college racing, I took a break, maybe three years or something like that. But during that time, I was a coach at Page High School. I was an assistant coach for the girls.
Oh, okay.
And my first year as assistant coach, we won state title, and so we were pretty good. And then afterwards, decided to get into ultra running. And my friend Sean started, it was a race in Canyon de Chelly Ultra. And he said, "Hey, bro, this is what I'm going to do. Just letting you know what we're going to try and do here." And I was like, okay, I'm 100% in it. So to support him and his dream that he was doing, and I started running. I said, I want to be part of it. So I started running. And through his want and goals, I ran my first marathon in Shiprock. And so I ran it with him. He won the race, obviously.
Oh yeah, he's pretty
And
fast.
yeah,
The Martin boys, yeah.
yeah. So Tim and Theo's, they have a younger son, a younger brother. His
Yeah.
name's Sean Martin. So that's one of my best friends that I grew up with. So
Okay.
that's who I'm referring to. Um, so yeah, I ran my first marathon and I ran my first ultra marathon that same year. So that's how I got
Wow.
into ultra running, was because
Wow.
of Sean. And Sean was doing ultra stuff for a few years, and a couple of years that, he just fell into it just like I did. As like, what is ultra marathoning, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he educated on me a lot of stuff. So
So, when you going back a little bit here, uh, what is moccasin running? I'm sure some of our viewers don't know when you talk about moccasin running. What is that?
Moccasin Running is like a well, I call it my company
Mm-hmm.
thing that I created for what I wanted to do. And something I always wanted to do was host races for a long time. Ever since I got out of college and was running in college, actually, I wanted to host races back at home
Mm-hmm.
just to show the terrain that we ran in, the terrain that we train in, and
Right.
just like sharing what we ran through, um, knowing how many state titles we've won through the school, and just kind of sharing like, hey, this stuff is hard to run in, and I think if we run a race out here, we should be able to share some cool stuff and the things
Right.
that we ran in our backyard and stuff like that. So slowly getting to that, I told Sean about it, and he said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it and see what happens." So we
Mm-hmm.
began doing it, and so Moccasin Running was created back in 2015, um, just the same year my father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So after my father passed away, that drove me um, a lot to do stuff, and
Right.
it just kind of
Mm-hmm.
just opened my eyes of how short life is.
Right.
Um, as long as my father was alive for all those years, it just felt like it wasn't enough,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have that much time to do stuff. So worst
Yeah.
things that can happen is it won't happen, but you still can do it. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
I put both feet in and
Mm-hmm.
created something. I hosted my first race in Navajo Mountain. We did that for a couple years and a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and then um, we took a break from there after those events, and wanted to do something more closer to home, which would be a lot easier for us to
Mm-hmm.
move things back and forth. So um, it was coming up in the 4-year anniversary of my father, and I got accepted back to Boston Marathon
Mm-hmm.
for the third time, and
Wow.
I decided to do something really special for my dad, because after my dad passed, like 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
after my dad passed, we buried him, had his funeral, a celebration of life, and I had to make a decision if I'm going to be at Boston Marathon in two
I
weeks.
remember that. Yeah.
So for the whole month before that, I was in the hospital with him, no training,
Mm-hmm.
and then we took his funeral, and we had to let him go. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really up to doing anything, and I just looked back and said, my dad would wanted me to do this. This is what
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
was overjoyed when I told him about me being
Mm-hmm.
accepted to Boston. So I traveled to Boston, ran my race. I made a shirt the night before. It says "For Dad," and
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. I remember that shirt.
the whole Boston race, all 26.2 miles, was just full of people from the start to
Mm-hmm.
finish, and people just reading my shirt. I'm listening to music, but trying to stay focused on what I'm trying to do. But
Right.
I can hear the whole crowd roaring the whole time. You do it for Dad. Your dad's watching, and
Oh.
dude, it was just so amazing. It was just so, my mind was just like continuously blowing like
Mm-hmm.
fireworks. It's like the whole way down, like the whole road all the way to the finish line. It was just so amazing. It was a huge experience to feel, and just to remember that,
Mm-hmm.
I did this for a reason, so 4
Yeah.
years pass, and I wanted to take my family out there. I want to take
Mm-hmm.
my sisters, my nieces, my mom out to Boston to watch me race.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, how am I going to do this? How am I going to
Mm-hmm.
carry my whole family out there? So I went to Tuttlebine Tours, and I went and paid for my tour and went down there, walked around, looking at the terrain and roads and stuff. And I was out there just like everybody else, like the thousands of people that go through there. And I was like, I'm going to do something here. So I ended up talking
Right.
to my coworker, Logan. He worked for the same company I worked for, and his dad works for the same department in the company that I did also. So
Mm-hmm.
every single day, like for years, I drove by. I used to be a train operator up there for the power plant. So we'll
Yeah.
drive through the train tracks there and go and look down and see how far their progress of making the road is to the trails and the
Mm-hmm.
canyons on there. So watching it from the beginning, from the train, it was pretty awesome. And
Right.
decided to talk to the family and tell them, I was like, I want to host a race here. This is my goal. I'm just doing it for a fundraiser so my family can follow me to Boston. And
Mm.
I just told them the backstory. I was like, my dad, passed away a few years ago, and I want to take my family up there. I'm gonna run the Boston Marathon in the Navajo traditional moccasins.
Mm-hmm.
So, in honor of my dad and my my Nolly man's teachings, and so
Right.
that was
Mm.
my goal. And Moccasin Running was just that, is re-embracing your culture. You know,
Right.
think about where you came from, where you're coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and sharing it through today. Just running, just do it. Every culture has a running story. Every culture
Mm-hmm.
has something that's related to
Right.
running and what we do. So um, yeah, just trying
Mm.
to share that, re-embrace
Oh
those
yeah.
teachings. Think back to before, the people, our ancestors, and how they used to do things. And today we have to keep doing stuff like that. Just like earth movers, we just have to keep moving, make the earth
Yeah.
spin, make our own
Yeah.
earth spin. Those kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
that's really like that's really powerful. Like everything you shared. For some of our listeners, how would you describe the terrain of your race? Uh, you know, if they were like coming, I mean, because I always tell people, yeah, it's canyon slots, and some people are like, "What's canyon slots?"
mm,
So, how would you like describe it? Like, just describe it to our listeners what this race is and what does it mean? Like when I talk about canyon slots.
uh, so canyon slots is uh, say like you're a small person, and you're walking, and you're going into, the way I look at the land is like, it's like
Mm-hmm.
a, kind of like a book. You seeing things that happened in the past, and you're looking at it today, and you're reading what has happened with the winds and the waters, and you're learning and seeing the history of that area, just based
Mm-hmm.
on the look of, how things look. So when I explain a slot cane, is like you're walking into earth, you're
Mm,
walking right into a
I
wall of
love that.
earth, and you're like in the book. So you're in the middle of these pages, and these pages have been wrinkled with water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the colors and things that are in the book, they're swirling, and you know how the pages get warped in the book, so you're
Right.
walking through this, and you're seeing different layers of the land. And
Mm,
that's exactly like what a slot canyon is. You know, if you
Right.
can imagine yourself being an ant walking through a page in a book, you know, this is
Yeah.
just like that,
Yeah.
telling a
It's
story.
pretty. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And
Mm.
um, like that whole area, uh it seems I don't think people really know like the history of how the Navajo people, that was a place they were hiding, right? It was a hiding place almost, like you would say.
Yeah, back in the long walk, that exact location was a place to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Back before, as the story goes, like my Nelly man, he taught the story is it talks about the canyons, and he talked about what it's referred to as a teiiziko. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
the rock in the hole in the rock, you know, those
Mm-hmm.
that's the wording of that. And then in ceremony, he's always ended his prayer that way, and he says, "These our prayer is going to go through the rock, our prayers are going to go through the earth, and
Mm-hmm.
then at the end of the earth, you know, that's going to get cleansed, and in return, the good things that we want for ourselves, for our people, you know, for our well beings, our five finger people, you know, these are the
Mm-hmm.
things that we want in return. You know, we want to continue living life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they that's and then he ends his ceremony with a prayer. He's with "Nijonanestli," you know, the
Mm-hmm.
beauty has come again. The beauty has come again. You know,
Mm.
it's going to come. You know, those kind of words. And so to me, that's what those canyons they remind
Yeah.
me of, and those teachings of. That's why we at the race we do a prayer before we go in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before I let everybody go and leave the start line, we do a prayer first, in respect of
Yeah.
my grandfather, in respect of the
Yeah, for
culture
sure.
and the family. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's the canyons there. There was a hiding spot during our period as Navajos. They called the Long Walk, where the U.S. Army came out and
Mm-hmm.
gathering our relatives and ancestors and herding them to Fort
Mm-hmm.
Sumter in New Mexico. You know, and
Yeah.
the terrain up there in that area was just so rough and rugged that U.S. Army couldn't find many of these people.
Yeah.
And Navajo Mountain was just like that too. So
Really.
Navajo
Wow.
Mountain had Utes, and they had Navajos back in those canyons, and a lot of them they started intermarrying each other during that time, and
Hmm.
so a lot of the Navajos and Utes are married in that spot.
I think that's what's really, because I ran that race, in 2023. I think that's what's really powerful about like a Navajo, like us Navajo people, or even Native people that I know that have traveled there to be part of that race. That's really powerful for me when you like run through those canyon slots, because it's like, I think what I like about your race, it's just so different than most races, because
Mm-hmm.
most races just, there's a story to it, but I think there's just something more spiritual about what you provide for people. Um, so I think that's just, yeah, we'll go back to more about that race because we're going to talk about it later. But I want to kind of shift back to, we talk about Moccasin Running and how you started it, and we talk about your father, but also you ran Boston Marathon in your moccasins. And I think that was crazy. And I know, I read your story in Runner's World, and but I do remember when you did that, and I do remember the photo that you shared of your feet after
Yeah.
after that race. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Uh, it took some like my since I knew I was going to run it, I was kind of figuring how I'm going to approach this event and what I'm going to do there, and all of a sudden I thought about my dad, and I was like, I'm going to do something for my dad this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I kind of had that wild idea of running in moccasins in the race, and you know, so I said, oh, okay, well, how am I going to change all what I'm doing now? You know, I'm
Right.
running
Mm-hmm.
like 253, 254 in a marathon, and
Oof.
how I'm going to slow down to run in moccasins, right? So I went out to Gallup and in search of moccasins and things I can use. So I started running in my sandals. I started running barefoot in grass on the track and on concrete, trying to do short stuff and build my feet up. And I probably went through, I think, 3 or 4 moccasins during my training cycle.
Oh, wow.
Because I'll blow them out. I'll wear through the soles and everything. And so I had to really do a lot of training and toughen my feet up to hold for hours. But yeah, that morning it started snowing. Not snowing. It started raining.
Was it that year where it was like rained a lot and it got really cold?
Yeah, it got really cold and it rained, and I was like, oh, my moccasins are gonna get thrashed, because as soon as leather gets wet, it just becomes like paper. It just goes.
Yeah.
So I was like, we rented a Airbnb for my family, and I started going out the night before. I was trying to find out how I'm gonna do this, and which I was hoping it was like dry, but it wasn't. And so I ended up getting like duct tape. I put duct tape on the whole bottom of my sole, just so it'll try to stay dry as possible. And I did like multiple layers, and one of them stayed on like probably 50% was still on there, probably up to like mile 18, somewhere around there. But the other side, it came loose like after like 6 or 7 miles, and it was gone. So it was pretty uneven, but I had my family stand by with extra pair of shoes, like regular shoes, if I had to change them out. And they were at like mile 16 or something like that. And I felt okay enough. The sun came out and sort of was dry, but I was still managing through running the race, and it did okay. I mean, it held up, but I still have that.
I did okay.
I still have the shoes. So as soon as I took it off, I never put my foot back in there. I just saved it. And so it's in my closet, and it's like a history thing right there. So it's hard right now because of what's wet. But,
but you finished, right?
I finished. Yeah. And it was a hard time walking afterwards. And then it became more harder to walk the next day. And then, so I signed up for Shiprock Marathon. Like that was like a week and a half after that.
Right. I didn't know that part.
I took a week off, and I started kind of like sort of running, and my feet was still sore. And so I just decided to race it anyway, or just run it, not race it, but see what happens kind of thing. And I only made it as far as mile 20. At mile 6, mile 7, my foot, I can feel like I had a fracture. So I really definitely injured a bone or something like that in my feet. And so I walked and speed walked for all the way up to mile 20. That's when I had my family there. And that was the first time I dropped out of a road race. So
Harold, you're so stubborn.
I know. That's how it is. I guess that's how my dad was, because I know my dad was just like that,
Yeah, it just kind of runs in you.
Yeah,
well, before we move on, I just want to, chime in just to, again, just kind of talk about our sponsor, because I really like this conversation, because there's more to discuss. But we just want to, again, give a shout out to Ultra Running for sponsoring our podcast. Ultra Running has a 0 drop on their shoe, which means, which I'm learning every time I wear Ultras, is when the heel and the forefront is at the same level to give it more of a natural running. So I ran my 100-miler in Ultra shoes, and so I really like it so far. And it's I think Ultra Running is also known a lot for their trail shoes, and so that's what I really like about them. If you want to know more about Ultra Running, you can go to www.ultrarunning.com. And so we just want to say thank you again to Ultra Running. So as we continue, we talk about Harold and his moccasins, and he didn't have these nice ultra shoes on while he was running. But, as we switch gears a little bit too, you're now more so into ultra running, and you've had like several hundred milers under your belt. But what is the big thing that's coming up for you, Harold? That is what you're training for now.
Uh, what I'm training for and what I've been looking at for some years since the first event it has hosted. It's called the Cocodona 250.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 250-mile trail race from Black Canyon City, Arizona. And it goes through Crown King, Prescott,
Mm-hmm.
up in I think Cape Verde area,
Yeah, I think so.
Sedona,
Yeah.
and back into Flagstaff. So I've always
Wow.
wanted to do something pretty epic like that
Yeah.
for a long
Mm-hmm.
time since growing up. My grandfather, like I said, my Nelly man, he
Mm-hmm.
always talked about running, and he's done stuff like that. He's talked
Really?
about it,
Wow.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always kind of like a person who was on foot or he's either on a horse. If he can't get
Mm-hmm.
a horse back to the house, then he's on foot. So he's like, he talks about his journeys and things that he did and traveling and things, going places to do things for his family or go to work. And so one of his stories is he came back from San Francisco area and got dropped
Mm-hmm.
off by train, and he ran from Williams all the way back to Gap Botaway, which is like about 100 miles.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And he did all that. He said the sun was like at this area, this side. Back then
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a clock. You just
Yeah.
have your fingers, and you just see how many fingers you have from the sunset or mornings.
Mm-hmm.
He said the sun was about here, and then by the time I got home, the sun was coming up. It was like this many fingers up,
Wow.
and I was like, dang, there's like no places to get food and things like that. And he did that. Like
Mm-hmm.
the back of my mind, I didn't know what ultra running was. Nowadays, ultra running, you have aid stations, you have people there with food, you have medical there taking
Right.
care of you, you have your family and whoever else, your crew, babying you and making sure you're okay. And
Right.
you
Mm-hmm.
have designated water spots, and you just carry a limited amount of weight on yourself so you can get to the next place fastest. But
Mm-hmm.
to think back to my grandfather, what he did is like, holy crap, that's a ton load of miles to put on yourself, and you're there out there by yourself. He said
Right.
he had stories like that, and he always says, yeah, you can hear the wolves out,
Mm-hmm.
out in the darkness, and he'd talk about them and the kind of challenges he's had when he was doing all that stuff. And to
Mm.
me, it's just like, man, I want to do something like my Nelly man did, And so I started getting into longer stuff, and I was getting more familiar, self-educating myself, listening to stories,
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, and just talking to people that have done it before. And it's always been in my mind that I can do it.
Yeah.
I just waiting for the time to really have my mind and heart strong enough to know this is what you're going to be really doing it for real. This is for real, this time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, a long time ago, it scared me. But
Yeah.
right now I'm at a stage where I know what I need to do, and,
Mm-hmm.
just work through it. And, just
Yeah.
when the time gets hard, you got to think back to what what people before me overcame to keep me driving. That's
Right. Mm-hmm.
I had that experience in Colorado one day, and I was doing a race. I thought I signed up for a 12-mile trail race. This is before my first marathon. This is when I was
Yeah.
training for ultra, that first ultra race with Sean.
Uh-huh.
And so I started getting back into trail racing, and I signed up for my first 12-mile race, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of trail races I saw, you got to run up mountains, or you got to do something
Mm-hmm.
really epic, like do hills, like just like 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, whatever. It's not like a road race where you're only dropping or climbing
Yeah.
500 feet, stuff. So
Yeah.
I signed up for this race, and I thought it was 12 miles. I just signed up for it real quick, and then come to find out, like a week before it, I found out I'm doing like 24 miles up Mount Kindle, which is like 13,000 feet in altitude, and you're starting
Oh
at
my
9,000
gosh.
feet, right? So you climb like
Oh.
almost 4,000
Mm-hmm.
feet of climbing, and doing it twice in
Oh my
24
gosh.
miles. So you're doing like 8,000 feet in 24 miles. And I was like, what the heck did I just do? I was like so scared, and like
Yeah.
that scared me. And I was like freaking out. And I was like, what the heck? What did I do? So I was like, I need to climb something so I know I can do this thing. So
Yeah.
uh, that next day, so this was at, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. The next morning, I was like, I'm going to Flagstaff. So I drove from Lachie. I went to
Mm-hmm.
Flagstaff, got to Snowball, and I ran up uh, Mount Humphreys, which is the
Oh my gosh.
tallest peak in in Arizona. So
Yeah.
I went up there, climbed it, and I was like, "This is my first time up here." And normally, my grandfather always says, if you're gonna climb a sacred mountain, you got to do your prayer up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my prayer up there, and um, had my
Mm-hmm.
corn pollen and everything, and I was so happy. Um, I called my mom. I called my mom
Mm-hmm.
from up there, and then I was calling her, told her where I was at, and I was like, "I'm up here. I just wanted to call you because you're the first person, the only person I was thinking about the whole time."
Oh.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we had our moment up there, and then came back down, and then ran my race, and so I had to find something that's really powerful to me in that race in Colorado. So I did
Uh-huh.
my first climb, and it wasn't too bad. But my second one, I was
Let's
like
just
scared. I was like,
yeah.
okay, I think I got this. And I was like running up there
Mm-hmm.
halfway. I was like, I probably had another like 1,500
Jeez.
feet left to go. And then I was like, okay, Harold, you got still have a ways to go. Um, what's something really great about what's your why for this thing? Why are you
Yeah.
out here
Mm-hmm.
running this crazy thing? Nobody's telling you to do it. I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, so what is it?" And so I started, I was like, man, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. What I got to do then? Just then my music I was listening to shut off. So I was like, I'm just running without speed hiking without music. And then I started hearing something. I was like, what the? So I took my earphones off,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like standing there listening, and I heard a bell. The bell, and then disappears, and then it goes faint, and then I hear it again. I was like listening for 3-4 minutes, and it
Uh-huh.
kept going on and off, and I was wondering what it was. So I'm not there by myself, but the closest person was probably like half mile ahead of me, and no one was behind
Mm-hmm.
me, and I was like, we're the only crazy ones out here. And I was like going up this mountain, and then
Uh-huh.
I keep hearing it, so I really stopped. I took everything off my ears, and I was looking around, and I started looking, and I was
Mm-hmm.
inside like a bowl, and I went to
Mm-hmm.
look at the other side of the valley, and I was kind of just scoping that out, and there's like 300 sheeps up there,
Oh
right?
wow. Uh-huh.
And I was like thinking about, I was like, that's what I got to think about. I had to think
Mm-hmm.
about my grandparents. Those are the people before
Mm-hmm.
me. My grandmother passed just some years before that, and I was like, yeah, that's like my grandma. They always talk about those kind of lands like God's country,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Creator's
Mm-hmm.
country. And I was like, that's my grandmother watching me.
Mm.
She's up there herding sheep, doing these things, and
Yeah.
that she always wanted. I always saw it growing up, those kind of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
that
Mm-hmm.
made me think, she used to do a lot when she was older,
Mm-hmm.
herding sheep in like sand dunes behind her house. And,
Right.
um, our
Yeah.
my grandfather, lived to 102 years old riding a horse.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're so resilient in who they were. It just
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm still 30 something years old, and at that time, and why? I'm like, I'm hurting here. I'm looking for an excuse, I'm like only 30 years old. It's like, what the heck,
Yeah,
There has
yeah,
to be something bigger than myself. And then that reminded me, all this 300 herds of sheep just telling me, look at your ancestors, look
yeah.
at your grandparents, what they went through in their life, and look how easy you have it for yourself. Don't complain right now. You have nothing to complain
Mm-hmm.
about. You know,
Right.
we have it so easy today that we always look for the smallest things to ruin our day.
Yeah.
And to me, I try to really look past those things every day, and just know where you come from, know what they did. Just to have you
Mm-hmm.
here. Those kind of thoughts and teachings I keep trying to tell myself, and
Yeah.
having to run this big race now, 250 miles. Well, all my ancestors that completed the long walk.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yep.
the people from them are alive today.
Mm-hmm.
All are people from the long walk who survived. That's who we are as a tribe right now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's 250 miles, and what has my ancestors have done, those kind of things is just, if they can do stuff like that and survive and continue traditions and cultures and teachings today right now, and I'm still embracing it, I can do
Right. Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I really thanks for sharing all that. It's that mindset like you have is just, it's personal, but it's really motivating. Like how powerful it is to just because like you said, we do make excuses. We could say, well, I'm going to quit, or I know there's cases that are, where you do have to stop and run, but it's so easy to do that.
yeah.
um so with Cocodonia 250, that's what's on your mind. How has the training been? I know it's been already hot and in Phoenix, but it's of what I know of Cocodona, the weather changes dramatically in different spaces, different times in that
Mm.
race. So how do you feel like your training's going?
My trainings, I guess, is going well or decent. I mean, I've never done that kind of distance before, so um, I feel good at it. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
feel good about what I've done with the challenges that I had with what I have today. I mean, like, I'm still a race director. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still have to
You're
um,
busy.
make.
You're very busy.
I still have to make like 200 necklaces by hand. I still have to make 300 shirts. All that stuff I do on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still have to manage emails that come through, manage meetings that happen through for the races,
Mm-hmm.
remembering that, you know, these certain things have to be done. And then also on top of that, I have a full-time job down here. So quite a bit of my day is already taken up because of those things. And
Right.
just finding the space and time to put my training in. It's going pretty good, I guess,
Yeah.
based on
What's the average sleep you get?
4 to
Like,
6.
okay, that's not too bad.
4 to 6, yeah. But my training's going well. I mean, the temperature has gone up to over 100,
Ooh,
and I'm pretty well heat
but
trained.
yeah, I think so.
So it gets warm. Like, it's not like exhausting hot for me. It gets warm. So
Golly.
I can bear it. I'm out
Yeah.
there like anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even I work through it through the day too. When I'm at work, I'm in the heat, like in the shade heat, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm
Mm-hmm.
out in the sun heat. So I'm in that heat like all day. So it's like kind of like no breaks. Plus at work, I'm wearing my weighted vests and I do stuff. I'm starting to train more with that, and just walking around,
Wow.
just being on my feet. It's like a 25-pound vest, so it's well more than what is the weight what I'm expecting to carry in the
Yeah.
race, and it's been going too well. I've been
That's
dealing
good.
with injuries from the last few 100-mile races that I've done. So those kind of injuries just like kind of coming back more, like they feel like it's coming back, and then all of a sudden it's fine again. So having a weighted vest on is helping me re-strengthen my bone density, my tendons, my ligaments. They're
Wow.
starting to get more strong again. So having that extra weight on there,
Yeah.
because the weight I was training with when I had my vest on, it wasn't enough, so I
Okay.
had to do stuff like that. And right now when I run, when I do my running, I'm with either with a 3 to 4 liter amount of weight in my vest now. So I'm training with 3 to 4 liters of water on me.
Wow.
So I'm still moving really well. So I'm anywhere training from 5 and up to so many miles.
Right.
So this weekend I'll be hooking up with a training group to do 40 miles on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, that'll be awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's crazy, Harold. Yeah, I just okay. So I love just your story, and I'm learning so much about you. Even though I've known you for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You talk about if you are our listeners, one of the things that Harold does for his races, it's really unique. Everyone gets races. We get a bib. We have, of course, we have a bib, but we get like medals for our races. But Harold does something different where he actually makes a piece of jewelry. And so in the past couple years, I know it's changed, right? Because the race that I did with you last time, I got a silver bracelet with a
Mm.
turquoise. So does it change every year what you make?
Yeah, I've been changing it. I've been doing new stuff. Uh, so right now, let me get off the screen real quick. I'll pick this up real quick. I'll show you what I've been doing. We've been
Yep.
putting together.
So Harold makes these about 200 pieces of jewelry.
So it's always had like turquoise in our jewelry and stuff. Just mostly because of the significance of turquoise to us.
Right.
So this year we got shell and white clam and turquoise,
Oh,
and
wow.
these are the necklaces.
Oh, nice. And you do
So they
that.
have the center pieces, and then the white clam, and then the he she shell. So every runner gets these.
Wow. And so Harold, you make all those in your spare time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's so crazy. But I think that's what I've always heard. Like, I think was it last year? Some friends from Minnesota ran your race, and
Mm-hmm.
they said, they just really love having that piece of jewelry, and I think that's what's really unique about it. And as we talk more about your race and about your company, Canyon X, which is coming up in 2 weeks, right? About 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks?
2.5, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have been a race director for a while. Um, what do you feel like your philosophy is as a race director? Like,
Um,
what's important to you? What do you feel?
I wanna. I really feel like unity and support why we do it, um, how we give back, and how we can continue sharing those experiences outside of the race, and sharing our story from there, and communing, having more people be involved, embracing the experience, later on and in the future, and really I want them to know that we are out here and we're doing something good for our community and
Mm-hmm.
something really special for everybody at the same time. You know, you come out here to support us, we come back and give something good for you. And that's why I use turquoise in um, our jewelry, is because when all the times that I followed my my grandfather, my Nelly man, um, whenever he went to help people do ceremonies and things like that, and all the time he's always gotten something like a turquoise, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
big, no matter how small it was. You know, he got that as an offering to him, and those other things is that's why I seen, and that's why I got to learn is when in returning, when
Mm-hmm.
you know, say a thank you or something, you give something back, you know,
Right.
no matter what it is, you know, something special that means something mutual to you, or something special from you to another person. So at our event we use turquoise, and we try to put something in turquoise with, to give back to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And your family, they do the food, right, at this event,
they
or
used to do
just?
the food.
Mm-hmm.
It just got too much for us.
Yeah.
They got, the kids are growing up and they started doing sports, and a
Yeah.
lot of their activities are sports now. And right now they're
Yeah.
traveling. They go to school in Tucson, and right now the kids are in spring break, but they do like basketball off season. They
Oh,
do
okay.
they're doing track right now in season. So they're traveling to Denver right now to do a tournament, basketball tournament or something. So
Mm-hmm.
they're moving around all the time.
That makes
So
sense.
we
Yeah.
end up so I end up pawning the food stuff off to a local family in Lichee,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
I know the family. I grew up knowing them and things, and anytime I go back to Page, and I'm always getting something from them. So I always, in return, to support them as I come out and do our race
Right.
and be here with us and have some fun. So
Make 200 fire breads.
yeah, 200,
Yeah.
300.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be
300 fire
expect.
breads.
Right now, we're expecting if we sell out 330 runners. So
That's good. Yeah.
it's getting bigger
Yeah.
slowly and surely. But just before
Yeah.
like COVID, we were like we exploded like crazy.
Really. Mm-hmm.
And COVID hit. We end up closing our race down for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years just because the guidelines from Navajo Nation. So slowly we're crawling back out of that and get into something special again. So
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Well, one of the things that we ask at the end of our podcast is this last question is, what does being an earth mover mean to you?
uh, let's get up and start moving the earth, and you know, you're blessed to, every morning to wake up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Creator woke you up for a reason, and get up, start moving, move around, start walking, do something, be
Mm-hmm.
active. You know, just be productive.
Mm-hmm.
Productivity, being productive is creating
Yeah.
opportunities for yourself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Even just moving around and doing things, you know, you got to do all that stuff. You know,
Right.
that's what our bodies were made for. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're made to move, and they were not made to be in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to move, you got to move the earth while you're out there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
you
love
do it for
that
your reasons. So
for
have a
sure.
reason for all that stuff. You know, and if
Mm-hmm.
you have a hard time doing it, you know, figure out what your why is. And a lot of runners say, "What's your why?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it can change. You know, it's okay to have that change, you know, over time, and getting to know yourself. That's what it is getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're not the same person as you were yesterday, because you just had a whole bunch of information that just enlightened something else that you've been probably thinking about
Mm-hmm.
today, you know.
Right.
So those kind of influences, you know, make it better for yourself. And if you get
Right.
influence, you know, share it, share where you got it from, who you got it from, and the
Mm-hmm.
teachings that, you know, just wow, that was something I didn't know, and maybe the next person you're sharing that experience to another person, and your experience is going to go far to a lot of people out there, and you never met these people before, but somewhere along the line they say the world is small, and that person can come back and say, hey, I heard that story of your why, of that why. Do you know this person? There's going to be a whole bloodline of people, talking about, your story, and you don't even know it. So
Right.
you never know who you're going to influence.
Yeah.
It could be years down the road, just like my grandfather talked about his stuff. So I know a lot of people has heard of my grandfather and how special he is to me. And he's changed my life. So
Right. I love that. I love that. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and I think I want to share just a little story. When I was running my first, excuse me, my first 100K at Javelina 100, and I remember the last loop that I had, and Harold was there. Excuse me, Harold was there crewing me, and a bunch of other friends. And I remember, Harold, when I was the last loop, you said to me, remember who you're doing this for. And as you know, we relate very much in many ways because our fathers have passed. And I'm going to get emotional, but I just really remember how like that meant so much to me at the time because, it's like my first 100K. I'm tired. But I remember you telling me before I took off, you said, remember who you're running for. And so I always felt like we've had that connection as like, brother, sister. And so I just want to say that was just at that moment. And even so now it's like been powerful. So I just always feel like honored to talk to you and just to support you when I can. And that your story, I've learned so much more about you than I have. So, because we've crewed together at one of the races, and so it's just really cool to learn more about you. So thank you so much for sharing so much of this, your story of, of like pain, loss, but there's something amazing that came out of that, and it's still coming out of that. And so maybe we'll do like a, Cocodona 250 follow up.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That's gonna be
so
wild to
so thank you so much.
I could remember maybe.
You're like, yeah, exactly. So thank you so much for just being on our podcast. So I'm excited to share this one. So thank you, Harold.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity and to share my stories. Some of the stories I've talked about before, but weren't really fully shared, like to explain it from me. But yeah, it's awesome to be able to share it verbally with you all, and thank you very much. And also, Ultra is a great shoe. I've had a pair of Ultras for a long time.
Awesome.
I got introduced to it back in like 2015, I believe. They were the Olympus.
Yeah. So you wear Ultras now.
First, yeah, the
so
very first one
now?
of the first all. Yeah, I've had I don't know how many pairs of them, but I started running it. And I was like, this. I'll go back to the original Ultras as a moccasins, zero drop, skating.
Right.
But yeah, I love it. I wanted to do my shout out for Ultra too.
Yes, and I didn't need to do one. So, but yes. Well, anyway, thank you everyone for joining us on this podcast. We drop a podcast every Thursday. And again, we also have a Substack, which is www.earthmovers.substack.com. And we also have merch that is available. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And so we will see you again. Thank you.